Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leader About podcast. Today, for, I believe, episode 252 or 253. I have an amazing guest, my new good friend, Travis Robbins. We connected a couple of weeks ago, connected to a wonderful friend of ours, Mr. Joseph McGuire from Ireland. And yeah, he told me to talk to Travis. We connected, we talked last week, and wow, we had a beautiful conversation because we share some of the same passions. First of all, is an avid traveler just like me. He's been around the world, especially as a part of the military. For example, he's been to South Korea and most other places. Then he also has a massive heart. And as a result of that, he's doing a lot of good work, community work around the world. He's going to be, he's working into doing like a clothing recycling facilities in Uganda, where he's going to be making quality recycled clothing from the material that they get on the ground. He's also looking at doing something absolutely phenomenal that really caught my attention as soon as you mentioned, and that is working on the longest walking road from South Africa all the way to Russia, walking, and he named it the Connection Odyssey. Is looking to start this from June of next year. It's going to take him about 2 years until September 2026. He's looking now to raise funding and sponsorships for it. We're going to talk about that. Other notable things about him, other than his massive, beautiful heart and his incredible desire for traveling, he's also had a spiritual awakening, just like myself and most people in the past 2-3 years, recently 3 years. And what triggered for him that his awakening was the fact that he spent a couple of weeks in jail as a result of DUIs. And we all need that from life, sometimes a slap on the wrist to really wake up, to really focus on what really matters. And that was for him, his awakening. So there's a lot of things we can talk about. I told him, listen, we can do an entire episode just on the travel, another one just on your project in Uganda, another thing just in your past and your background, the military, and another one about, how about your time in jail and how it was, what you learned, and your spiritual awakening. So there's a lot we can cover, but let's see how much we can cover today. We're probably going to do a part 2 in a couple of weeks or so. So anyways, Travis, brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, and what an introduction. Thank you. Thank you, Payman.
Pleasure's on mine. I hope I didn't miss anything. So
no, it's good. It's excellent.
We're gonna dive into that. So first of all, Travis, tell us, how are you doing today, brother?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Another thing I mentioned that we have in common, just look at this t-shirt, funnel hacker. I'm also a funnel hacker. I said, oh man, I feel like I want to go and change my shirt as well. But next time,
I got a bunch of Russell's books. It's fantastic. Fantastic work.
I've been a collector of anything Russell has been doing for the past few years. I started getting into the ClickFunnels community and world basically since 2017, 18, and I've been devouring everything I can. So people around me know me as a ClickFunnels guy.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's fun. Yeah. Anyways, so let's start. So tell us, for people who don't know you, who's Travis as a person, as a human being, as a man? We got to talk about your business and all that later, but as a person, as a man, as a human being, who's Travis?
Travis is someone that is a bunch of different things all combined into one thing altogether. An adventurer, a learner, a growing leader, which difference between leadership and having leadership positions. But really, I just enjoy learning and doing things that are enjoyable. So that's obviously it's very broad, but it's been a very interesting experience and progression from like what we talked about, the spiritual awakening kind of thing. Is kind of felt like I stepped into more of who I really am over the past year and a half.
Beautiful. We're going to unpack all of that in a moment. But first of all, I'd like to further get to know you as a person. And to start with, I'd like to start with a series of rapid fire questions. Ready?
Okay.
All right. Tell us, Travis. What makes your heart sing? What makes your soul set on fire?
Mountains and traveling, for sure. That was the first thing that came to my head, at least. Mountains, hiking, and as corny as it might sound, I really do love serving because I find a lot of enjoyment, and I get a lot of enjoyment from serving because it's not something just for me, but it's something to help others out. And that's just, it fills me up with joy and sets me on fire.
Absolutely.
Doing things that I can do to serve others.
I'm with you on that. Now, what lights you up in the morning when you wake up?
Oh, coffee. Oh, coffee. Yeah, that's a good one.
Coffee. Okay.
I love sleeping, so waking up in the morning, it's like
Exactly.
the sleeping part is more enjoyable, but definitely coffee gets me going in the morning.
What makes you smile?
Well, a lot of things, honestly. A lot more things than I realized. Like just little things, but also really big things too. Like um well, jokes. Jokes definitely make me smile. And that might be considered like a little thing, but it's kind of beautiful because comedy has a way of just bringing out the best in people in their worst. So like you can
Absolutely.
have a terrible day and then just something makes you laugh, and that can just change everything about your day. But laughing, having with people, genuine conversation in the aspects that I can actually converse in. And geez, I probably go on that, but laughing and conversation.
You know, laughing is one of the greatest secret, one of the greatest natural remedies in the world. I once heard a doctor say that if every doctor in the world would prescribe 1 hour of mandatory laughing and smiling to every person on this planet, within 30 days, 95 to 98% of all the ailments would be gone. Because why? When you smile, it makes you, not only it makes you happy, but it makes your body toxic for stress. And what is the number one cause of disease? It's stress.
Yep.
So do whatever you can, whether it's watching comedy. I still watch, believe it or not, cartoons, Tom and Jerry, whatever, French comedies. So watch whatever you can to make you laugh as much as you can, because that's gonna, and most importantly, keep that inner child in you alive, because that inner child, that's the fire of life. The moment you suppress that inner child, might as well call it a day and just die.
Well, I mean, it's always a part of you. We don't always have to, grow up to the point where there's no
Exactly.
more childlike mentality left in us. The childishness
Yeah,
is different, but having that childlike mentality, that is
exactly.
really key to just enjoying as much of life as possible.
The childlike gives you that ability to play, to have fun. We all want to have fun, whether it's you're 2 years old or 25,000 years old. Still
Use
want
your
to.
imagination.
Exactly. Imagination is the greatest gift, is the greatest talent we have. Now, tell us, what makes you sad and angry?
Well, not having coffee. What makes me sad? Angry? Well, there's a bunch of things that can just make me irritated or angry or whatever, but really not anything lasting as much so anymore. What makes me sad is, I don't know if it's sad necessarily, but it's a version of like compassion. I think, yeah, a version of compassion. When I see somebody going through something that I've gone through and that kind of sucked, that doesn't necessarily have a sad feeling, but I have a lot of empathy towards that. Sad.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
It, I was seeing a dead bird. That makes me sad.
Wow, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What scares you?
Being afraid.
Of?
Just being afraid. And then what was it? Who said it? Churchill? I don't know who said it. Maybe Churchill or Roosevelt or someone. The greatest thing we can be afraid of is fear. And like there's not much in life that can have as much of a detrimental impact as fear can have, whether it's fear of speaking on stage or fear of going out your door. If you're afraid of something, it's going to prevent you from going into getting out of your comfort zone, getting out into the unknown, getting out and doing something that you haven't done before, but could help you to move forward. So being afraid, being in that state of fear, that biological protective state, it's preventing the body from doing something. That's kind of the best thing that I can come up with for being what I'm afraid of. That fear, the inability of moving forward into something that I know I should do or could do or would be good to do or something like that.
Yeah, I hear you. What would you say is your number one personal superpower?
I've been thinking about that actually kind of a lot lately because I really love that term, the superpower. So I always wanted like a superpower when I was younger. So now I think it would be pattern recognition, because I can connect the dots like crazy, even if there's not really relatable dots to connect. Maybe that's different, but it's like discernment. So reading between the lines, so to speak. That's been really helpful with differentiating between what I want to do and what I don't want to do, what would be good to do, what would not be good to do, what's in alignment with what I want to do, what's not in alignment. It's really the determining factor between making decisions, is that discernment. It's the delay between reaction and response, I think. So I think it could be considered superpower, but it also probably can be considered like the kryptonite.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, probably just discernment.
You mentioned when you were a kid, you wanted a different superpower. What superpower did you want as a kid?
I wanted mainly two different ones. One was like the ability to fly.
Oh, yes.
Because I could just go anywhere, and that would be spectacular. That's, probably part of the
Like Superman, like a bird?
adventure. Well, like Iron Man.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC, but yeah, kind of like Superman, just jumping up and going. But I do like the integration of the technology aspect as well. But another part, the other one that I would want to have is to be able to control my molecular density. So if somebody punched me, it'd be like punching a wall, or I could move through a wall.
Like the Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, those were like the two original ones, but yeah.
You'd become pretty much invincible if you would have those two incredible talents, right?
Well, I would not want to be invincible, but there's a lot more potential for that. Yeah.
Why you don't want to be invincible?
That's boring.
You
ever heard of One Punch Man?
Yeah.
There's this comic of this dude who basically he could eliminate every enemy with one punch.
Yeah.
And his life turned into a like just boring nihilistic depression of, well, there's nothing new I can do today. Just if I get attacked, then I'm just gonna punch him once, and it's just boring. And invincibility, in my opinion, would be pretty boring in the understanding of human beings as we are in this reality.
Become like the latest version of, say, Mike Tyson and become the king of the ring.
There's some people that are great to be goats in their realm of fighting or survival or something like that. But I like having mortality. Keeps me awake. Keeps me aware.
Yes, I see. All right. You like traveling, right?
Love it.
But let me take you down a different type of traveling, down memory line. Remember when you were a kid growing up, when we're kids, people around us, family, relatives, teachers, friends, always ask us, Travis, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer as a young boy to that question?
My first answer?
Yes.
Veterinarian.
Why?
Because I had no idea how to answer that question. I was like, I'm in 5th grade. What do I know? But I like animals, so let's say veterinarian. Then that quickly changed when I learned about euthanasia. No, I had no idea. I just kind of blurted out something here and there. It was usually always a different answer because
it wasn't an athlete or a superstar, rock star. No,
because athletes, you have a certain time frame of your general applicability in that realm. You're not going to, generally speaking, you're not going to see an athlete in their 60s or 70s competing in.
No, sure.
There are some anomalies, which mad respect for them, but no, I didn't. There's I've always felt like there was more to me than just doing athletic things, which mad props to people who do commit their life to doing athletic things. That's incredible. And it's just awesome feats of human potential. But no, I pretty much always wanted to do a bunch of different things and didn't know how to settle on one thing.
So when you said you want to be a veterinarian, is it because you loved animals since you were a kid?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Did you guys have pets growing up?
Yeah. So we had a couple dogs pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
all the time growing up. Dogs,
Dogs
man's
are
best friend.
amazing. Dogs
Yeah.
are amazing.
We had a couple cats too, but mainly it was dogs. And my
Yeah.
sister had a couple rabbits.
Oh wow.
I think I had a few rodents or lizards or something like that. So like we always had animals, and I was always around animals. Pretty much almost everybody we knew had an animal. So it was a very animal centric place that I
Yeah.
grew up. Come to think of it, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, love animals.
Same here.
Special, very amazing creatures.
Absolutely. Same here. Especially dogs. Absolutely love dogs.
Mhm.
Now, growing up, what was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
I was not a fan.
Why?
I did not enjoy being boxed up for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a good attitude about it either. But
Mm,
that's fair because I was a kid. I was rambunctious and I wanted to go outside and play. But yeah, I
mhm.
wasn't a big fan of school. I got out as quick as I could. I graduated a year early just to get out of school.
Oh, wow. Nice. What was your favorite subject in school?
Um, Recess? No. Either
Sports?
math or science probably
Okay.
because it's I didn't appreciate history or art or English
Mm,
or things like that um, because I didn't understand the different realm that
mm,
those practices were in. But I did understand science and math pretty like really well because it was all pretty much objective.
mm,
You have this answer and then this answer and then these different equations and these formulas for these different things and stuff like that. So it's very objective, straightforward, straight to the point, cut and dry. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's not right, and blah blah
mm.
blah. And with the other subjects and stuff like that, it was a little bit more difficult to grasp. But I mean that's definitely changed over the years. But math and
Mm.
science were the first.
Sure. Now, what kind of student were you in? Let's say we're in the same class in grade 12, grade 10 or 11. Were you the shy guy? Were you the geek one? Were you the life of the class? Were you the rebellious? What kind of guy were you back then?
Oh, that depends on when you catch me. Goodness.
Say grade 10, grade
Normally,
11.
yeah, normally I was this quiet, reserved
Yeah.
uh person in the back of the class. Well, back of some classes, front of
Mm,
others. Interesting. Didn't think about that till now. So, depended on the class and depended on the day, but normally I was this reserved student just getting
mm,
my work done to get it done.
awesome. What was it? And in school, were you popular with the ladies?
No, no. I was this dorky looking little pubescent kid that,
Okay.
you know, the spots came out on the face and I was sweating. I was always sweaty
Mm.
and I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to interact with people. I was very socially awkward and it was a very strange time going through school.
So what how do you make the transformation from going from, as you said, the shy dorky to the outspoken and well-spoken man that you're now?
Got to go through a lot of crap
Sure.
to well, you don't have to. I think that's just the path that I've been on. Is I went through a bunch of things
Mhm.
in life and I've learned from as much of it as possible. And I actually have some direction and orientation in life now. Before I had that, I was still pretty much the shy, reserved, fit in kind of person. Um, but actually having some direction in my life, actually having some orientation, some purpose, like a clearly defined goal set moving towards that has really helped me
Mhm.
to become more well-spoken, I guess, and really know more about who I am, what I stand for, where I'm going in life, and how I want to contribute to life.
Mhm. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but one last question I want to ask you about your upbringing. What was your very first job? And do you remember how much you got paid for that first job?
First payroll job or odd job?
Whatever. First time you did a job and first time you got paid.
All right. Well, the first payroll job I had was on a farm, actually. I was
Yeah.
picking weeds and I was making like $6 an hour or something like that.
Wow.
650 maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
It was cheap job, cheap labor, but it was good, hard work, really.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think picking weeds for all day is difficult, but it gets difficult. I thought it was difficult. First odd jobs I was doing was raking leaves, mowing lawns, clearing brushes, and cleaning up cleaning up yards, cleaning up landscapes, and just doing odd outside cleaning jobs like that. And I was probably making $10 an hour, something like that.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your path from the moment you left school to now. How would you describe it? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing? Once you get into one lane, you were set for life. It was more like turns and twists, like a roller coaster.
Oh God, it's been like Jumanji. There's been so many twists and turns and just going all over the place, both metaphorically and physically.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it more fun that way?
yeah, I can't stand too much routine, too much order, too
Yeah.
much. Like the military I was not a good fit for the military because it's so orderly. And that's
Mm.
great for some people, for some things, for some situations, and specifically for that application. Wonderful. Not my thing. I'm too my personality is too creative for a military environment.
How did you end
And
up
that's
in
just because
how did you end up in the
what
military? How did you end up in the military? Is it because something that you wanted to do? Was it family that recommended you or just people around you? How do you end up in the military in the first place?
a little bit of a combination.
Okay.
I wanted to I wanted to join the Marines from a very early age, just because I was fascinated by
G.I.
the
Joe.
concept. I was fascinated by the concept, and I thought
Yeah.
it'd be a great thing to do. And I think, well, most of my family had been in the military. Like
Okay.
my dad, my grandfather, one of my brothers, some cousins, some other family members, and just a
Okay.
bunch of military history. And I'd wanted to, but I was also too young at the time. So I went through a divorce at 19 and
Whoa.
decided, well, this is probably a good time to start something new. So I
Wow.
ran away, joined the military, and yeah, that's how that got started.
How long were you married for?
About 5 months.
Wow. 5 months. Okay.
1 month together and then 4 months separate.
Yeah. What was the number one lesson that you learned to that first marriage?
Don't get married to fix the relationship.
Oh, that's powerful. And what was the number one cause that the relationship ended in a divorce?
We were both pretty immature and
Mm,
didn't want to talk about how much we didn't like the relationship, or
yeah.
that didn't want to talk about the aspects of the relationship that we didn't like and weren't okay with or whatever. So it was just we both silent quit.
Yeah. Any kids from that first marriage?
No, thankfully no.
Thank God. Yeah. Wow. Awesome.
We had
So
no kids, no assets, no
good,
property
good,
or anything like that.
good.
So
Yeah. So then back to the military. How long were you in the military for?
technically 3 months or 3 years and 10 months because I saved up my leave to get out early, but it was a 4-year contract.
Were you deployed anywhere?
Not deployed, but I was stationed in South Korea for 1 year.
Okay. Did you witness any combat?
No, cool thing about that actually was I was there when the North Korea and South Korea signed the armistice agreement.
You were
So I
there?
got yeah, I was there for that.
Wow.
That was really cool. I think
Cool.
Trump made that happen.
Yes, you did indeed.
So
Yes. Yes.
not posing any political views, but that was
Yeah.
just the facilitator.
Yeah. Well, what did you learn from the military? What was the number one gift that you learned, or invaluable lesson for life that you learned through that experience?
Well, it's kind of a backwards lesson, because one of the things that was pretty much preached on was perception is reality,
Mm,
and that never sat right with me, because two questions would always come up with me: whose perception and what reality,
mm,
or what perception and whose reality. Anyway, but that was a common thing. Like, perception is reality. If you're in your office and you're just messing around and you're not doing work, and somebody perceives that you're not doing work, then you're gonna get talked to, whatever. But if you're actually doing work and it just seems like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you're gonna get talked to about that. So it's like, perception doesn't necessarily define reality as a whole, but the individual's perception defines their individual's reality. So that was kind of a doorway to a little bit deeper understanding of how people perceive life, how people formulate their perspectives, how people make decisions and whatnot. It's based on what they perceive through their experiences, and that kind of helps to create their belief systems and whatnot. So that was a really good lesson, even though it wasn't actually true. It's a different aspect of what was intended, I think.
So once you left the military, what was next for you?
Well, I got out of the military about 4 days before COVID shut the world down.
Oh,
So I
wow.
couldn't find a job anywhere for months.
Yeah.
My fiance at the time told me to apply elsewhere after about 6, 7 months. So I applied elsewhere. I was living down in Yuma, Arizona. That was the second and my last duty station. And so I got a job up here in South Dakota. So I moved up here for that. And so I moved into working on wind farms. So wind turbine technician.
Mm. So you mentioned South Dakota. Did you think at any time to work in the oil fields in North Dakota or South Dakota? Because a lot of money to be made in that.
I thought about it, but that was also mostly traveling positions. And I was
Mm.
looking for not a traveling position because of the relationship that I was in. Didn't want to be all over the place all the time.
So that was by relationship, you mean the one that you were married and for just a few months?
No, the relationship I had after the divorce.
Okay. Is that relationship still going on now?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay,
Yeah, no,
cool.
I've taken a hiatus from relationships to figure myself out
Yes, focus
first.
on you. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, um, tell us about, so you said your awakening was a result of you spending 2 weeks in jail. Talk us about that.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory behind that. I was working at the wind farm and I had gotten my first DUI in February of 2021. And then October of 2021, I got fired from that job because I showed up with alcohol in my breath. And then
Mm.
not 2 months later, in December, I got my second DUI. So
Oh,
I felt I sensed a pattern and I sensed a cycle. So I decided to not be in that position again. And so I got into personal development and stuff like that. But um, because of the second DUI, I had to serve 10 days in jail. And when I got to that point, I went in from May 5th to May 15th. And on May 12th, it was my come to Jesus moment. I didn't have anything better to do. And I was reading the New Testament because it was available. I grew up in a Christian family, never read the Bible, figured it was a good time because I had nothing better to do. Started reading it. It started reading me. And I had that moment of, okay, I think I know I know what I need to do with my life now. So that was at least the initial push that I needed.
so did you start reading the Bible prior to going to jail, or was that in your cell?
That
You
was in
started
the cell. I
Wow,
was
okay.
sitting in my bunk and reading through I think I read through the New Testament in a day. And
Wow.
that's when I started reading the Bible.
So once you knew that you're going to jail, Did you tell anyone in your family, parents, anyone?
No. I told my um fiance at the time because I was still in the relationship back then. But no, I didn't tell anybody. I actually didn't tell any of my family really until I went home for Christmas. It was a surprise visit. I got to visit them for the first time in like 4 years. I haven't been as connected to my family as probably is normal, which to each their own, I guess. But I did reconnect with them over Christmas, and I told my family, and they're like, "What are you doing? Like, stop that!" Like, yeah, I got it.
So, what was going on to your mind, just say the day or the night before going to jail?
This is it. You screwed up, and you're done. And I thought that was just the end of it. I thought that was what my life had come to because of the decisions that I'd made and the impacts that the decisions had had. I thought that was what my story was going to result in. You know, he became a statistic, and that's that. So that's what I felt going into it.
And then what kind of facilities did they send you? Like maximum security or just a regular one?
No, just a county jail.
Okay.
So just going into this building, go down into not the base, the cells, they're underground. And then, you have some, probably half an hour on some days to go outside and sit outside or walk around in this little caged in area. But it's not that bad. It's just
So
boring.
did you have to
Uncomfortable.
turn yourself in yourself, or they just took you
Yeah.
as they tested you the second time and they just dragged you there?
No. So I had trials, and of course I had like the due process or whatever, and I wanted to challenge
Yeah.
it because the person the officer who pulled me over, I didn't believe that he could actually see what I was being charged for, but it didn't really matter because I was guilty anyway. So I turned myself in like after a day or two after my final court date and sentencing. So I had to give up my license, and I went in and just went to serve my time.
Did they tell you, okay, you have to show up at this place at this time on this day, and you just
Yeah, I
went?
had a deadline.
Okay. Oh, the
I went
deadline. So you
before the
could,
deadline.
so you had to go. You could go anywhere at any time before a deadline. Is this how it
Yeah.
works?
Yeah. So
Okay.
once you had until this date
Okay.
to start the sentencing, basically.
So in your cell, were you alone or you had someone else with you?
So during the day, there was probably 3 or 4 other guys in there, but in the evening it was full, almost full. It was like 12, 14 people, 12 to 14 guys. Yeah.
And
Because
the same
they could leave on work permits.
and the same cell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So there was like 6 or 7 double bunk beds. So like a bed and then a bunk on top. So there's about 12 guys there. Yeah.
So what was going through your mind as soon as you walked into that cell and you see all these guys and all these bunks and all that?
Just a very observational. I had no idea what to expect.
Uh-huh.
I Googled like what to expect in county jail because I had no idea what to expect. And it was completely new territory for me.
Sure.
Never been I've never been through the system in my life. So I wanted to learn about it. But it was just boring more than anything because these are just some guys who've done some stupid stuff with their lives, and they're paying the consequences just like I am. So
Sure.
it happens, and we're just doing the time.
What was your daily routine there? Did you have like a schedule, wake up at such and such time, or tell us?
Kind of, yeah. So like we woke up, there was like breakfast was served at 5 or 5:30 or something like that. We also didn't have a clock, so it was really weird.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah. That messes
like
with
the
your mind, eh?
most clock we had. Yeah, the most clock we had was like the TV watching the news. We could see the time sometimes, but there's an
Was there a
interesting
window in the cell or no?
no.
Oh, that's even worse.
No,
Yeah.
no, we were completely on the ground, cement walls, brick walls, cement wall, I don't know, like cement walls and locked doors. And all we had was TV, some books and magazines and coloring books and other games and
Oh, wow,
stuff.
there are
And
books. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
there was plenty of books. Not a whole lot of updated reading, but it was stuff there. So breakfast at like 5 or 5:30. And then really the only schedule we had was mealtime, rec time, which wasn't every day and it wasn't guaranteed, and lights out.
What time is lights out?
10, maybe? I don't remember. Not even, maybe lights didn't ever really go out. I'm not really sure. There's some aspects of it I don't remember really. Interesting. No, but it wasn't much of a schedule. It was very like, here's what's going to happen at this time. Here's what's going to happen at this time. And everything else is, figure it out.
So did you have to wake up yourself, or did they just like in the movies bang on the door at 5 o'clock with a flashlight up your face and
No, it definitely
screaming
wasn't
out
like
of the top of their lungs, you know?
No, that was more boot camp than jail.
Okay.
Most of the time people just kind of woke up before breakfast time because either they were used to it or they just woke up. But if you didn't, then one of the jailers would, yell down the stairs, mealtime. So then you just go have your meal and go back to bed if you wanted.
Was there any socializing between you guys and the cell?
Yeah, I mean, we talked here and there sometimes, but not a whole lot.
Were there some hardcore people there, or just like people, the first timers there mostly?
No, mostly it was just people doing like with alcohol charges or driving charges, and like maybe one with a assault or something like that, but nothing really extreme, I would say. Nothing physically dangerous of why they were put in there.
And I guess that reflected on the character of the guys in the cell with you. They were pretty much, were there any violent guy, any guy trying to dominate and try to, bully or anything inside?
No, it was pretty chill. But there was also cameras down there too. So if anything disrupting was happening, they'd probably yell at us to stop. Did
you not witness any altercation while you were there? Any fight?
No. Well, not in the cell, but you could hear some things sometimes when people when they bring in drunk people that were causing chaos. So they threw a few people in the drunk tank when I was there. Other than that, it was pretty quiet.
So you were
and there was a few people that were screaming, like losing their minds. I don't know. It wasn't that bad.
So you were not transported to a different location. It was just in the town that you were living at the time, in the county jail?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually like 2 blocks from my apartment.
Did you guys have any time that they would take you out during the day in the afternoon for a walk, fresh air, working out, playing basketball, whatever?
Yeah, so that was rec time. And there was this caged in square that we could just walk around or be outside or whatever. So there was this fenced off area. It was probably, I don't know, 15 feet by 15 feet, maybe 20 feet by 20 feet, which we could go out. Some guys would jog around in circles. Some of us would just walk around in circles. Some of us would sit down or just being outside.
So was there a specific time each day that took you there?
Not that I know of, but I also didn't know what time it was unless I was trying to judge it by the sun.
And would they take out all of you guys, or just group by group, or cell by cell?
Cell by cell.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. What else? So did you know that you would be there for 2 weeks, so you had no idea how long you would be there for?
I knew it was a 10-day sentencing. That was on my paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had guys,
it was only 10 days.
I had guys on my podcast. I had 2 incredible stories. One was because he couldn't afford the child support, and he was there for 30 days. He had no idea how long he would be there for. Complete mystery. Another guy was there for 5 years, and he had no idea how long he would be there for. I mean, those are fascinating stories, and I've done like multiple episodes with those guys going in detail. I can send you the links to those. Let's watch them. It's absolutely captivating, fascinating.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
And if I can connect you to those guys as well. Now they're doing very well.
That's awesome. It's really good.
So you said that as a result of you spending time in jail, that allowed you to reconnect with God, have your spiritual awakening, and also in some way also reconnect with your family. What else that allowed you to, what was other gifts that you learned or lessons from that experience?
Alcohol ain't worth it.
So after that, did you stop drinking cold
Pretty
turkey?
much cold turkey. Quit drinking, quit smoking.
Yeah.
Which I'm not to the point where I cannot do it or else I'll fall apart. Like I don't do it because I choose not to, just because put myself in
Mm,
I put myself in those situations, so I'm not doing that anymore.
yeah.
But I'd always kind of known that alcohol was not a end all be all kind of thing. Like it was not the answer. It was just something to pacify the suppression of things I didn't want to deal with. So after not drinking, I had to deal with myself. And that was an interesting thing to go through, asking myself different questions, kind of going through and unpacking my life on why did I do this? Why do that? What led to these different things? And it really opened the door to a lot of personal understanding and really just acceptance of, yeah, I did some really stupid things, but I can't change them now. So what I can do is change what I do now moving forward. And that was kind of empowering. Like I can't change the past and that sucks, but I can change the present to have a better future. So that was really helpful.
You know, one of the things that I realized as a result of my awakening is that nothing happens to you, it happens for you, even though at the
Right.
time that you're going through it may hurt. Like, and sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. So and that applies to anything, heartbreaks, tragedy, financial hardships, or jail, or whatever. So now that you're looking back at this, do you see that time as a blessing in disguise, as a gift? Or do you see it just like as in something that you had to go through?
Part of the story.
Yeah.
It's part of who I am now. And I wouldn't have chosen it, but I wouldn't change it.
So speaking of that, if you hadn't gone to jail, how would have your life been different today than what it is now? And on what path would you have been if you hadn't experienced that?
I would probably be I probably would have caused more destruction than I did.
Yeah,
That really shook me up.
sure.
So it helped me to realize what I was doing really did have an effect. Like there is cause, there is effect, there is effect, there is cause, and so on and so forth. So if I didn't go to jail, if I hadn't gotten caught, like this wasn't the first time I'd done these things. It was the first times I'd gotten caught. So if I hadn't gotten caught, I would have continued. Like
Sure.
I don't want to think that I would have, gotten my stuff together sooner or later. Like for me, that's kind of a naive perspective. Because if I didn't have that moment of, life basically slapped me in the face to wake up, then I would have kept doing what I was doing.
Absolutely, yeah. So how has that affected you in a way to live your life in terms of, being able to get an apartment, getting a job, getting, for example, loans from the banks? Has that affect you in any way, shape, or form? The fact that you spent 2 weeks in jail?
I have no idea because I haven't tried getting a job.
Okay.
I haven't really tried going for loans, but my credit situation was really upended because of COVID anyway. So I'm not sure how much effect jail would have had on it, but I mean, maybe. I don't really know. I don't think about how much of a
Yeah.
lateral external effect the jail would have had, but that is a good point. I don't
Yeah,
think it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing with my life
sure.
anyway,
The
regardless.
gentleman, one of the gentlemen that on my podcast that spent 5 years, he couldn't get a job. And so he had to
I can
be
imagine.
resourceful and he had to start his own business.
Mhm.
At first, people wouldn't do business with him as soon as they found out about his past, but hey, he had
I
to
was
persevere.
more I was more worried about the job aspect with losing my license, not having a license, because a lot of the jobs that I qualified for required
Yeah.
driving.
So we're able to keep your license once you
No, I
walked.
lost it. Well, I can actually get it back now. It's been over a year, so I can get my license back now if I go through the process. But
Okay.
no, there's no need to right now. So why bother?
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Awesome. Wow. What tip can you give to people that might be, let's say, for example, you were able to sit face to face with a previous version of Travis, knowing all that you know now. What would be number one tip you would give to him?
I'd just listen.
Mm,
I wouldn't tell him anything.
mm.
He just needed somebody to talk to.
Did you have anyone to talk to prior to that? Someone
I
that you
didn't
were
feel
really
like it.
close to, really confide and open your heart to?
I didn't feel like it, but I also didn't understand what true
Mhm.
communication and expression really meant. Um, like growing up being like socially awkward and whatnot, I didn't understand how to properly like interact in a social construct.
Mm,
So I became really quiet and reserved really quickly. And because of that, I didn't learn how to properly communicate with others and express myself and be authentic. I was always wearing a mask, always portraying what I thought would be acceptable. So just having the opportunity to talk and just not even talk in a conversation, but just to voice what was going on in my head, what was going on in my heart, what was going on in me, so to speak, and just fleshing out all the details of what I didn't understand or was confused about, or so on and so forth. Like, I probably didn't need anybody to give me answers or solutions or guidance or anything like that. Obviously, those things are really helpful and wonderful, and I definitely need them. Everybody needs them. We all need each other to move forward, but
sure.
I would have just sat there and listened. So I think that's one of the most valuable things that you can give somebody. Not guidance, not money, not um things. Just give them open space to flesh out the details of what's going on in their heads. Because a lot of times, if you just let somebody talk, they'll answer their own problems.
Exactly. Sometimes we just need to hear ourselves talk and hear what we have in our head,
Mhm.
just to hear it out, and then it becomes obvious. Oh, I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah,
So now that you've got your life in order and you're on the right path of
getting there, getting there.
impact,
Definitely
yeah,
not there yet, but yeah,
of course, it's a lifelong journey. But now that
right.
you have a solid understanding of what you need to do and you're on the path to do that, do you have any plans of, for example, going back, say, to schools and talk and inspire and guide younger guys as to what to, because in life it's important to know what to do, but it's twice as important to know what not to do. Do you see
Mhm.
yourself in the future going and being like a mentor, sharing your stories of to these young up and coming guys and girls as to what not to do?
Well, I'd definitely be open to talking about what not to do.
Mhm.
Eh, that's an interesting topic and concept because what is right for me to do would not necessarily be right for somebody else to do.
Yeah,
But that's because we're different people and we have different paths. We're here for different purposes. But I'd be happy to, I'd be open to talking to students because, well, um, I was a student once. They're going to be an adult
mhm,
someday. So like it's a cycle. If
absolutely,
I can contribute to the continuation of a more positive cycle, then I'd be happy to.
absolutely powerful. Love that. That's a powerful way to end this first episode. We'll definitely do a part two, part three, part four because so much we can talk. And I have another call in 2 minutes and 4 minutes.
Right.
So
Of course.
we'll stop part one here. Fascinating conversation, and there's so much more we can talk, and we will. So I salute you, brother. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world with your presence, with your impact, with your mission, your vision. And I cannot wait for part two. So
I
please book
feel the same
book a
way.
time for I'll be traveling next week, but maybe either end of next week or the week after that, we can resume our wonderful conversation.
For sure. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Absolutely pleasure, brother. Keep shining your light. Have a good
You
one.
as well. Thank
Take
you.
care. Cheers.